Hi, everybody. This is the baseball head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
Now, welcome back to the Baseball Head 3, and hopefully you like this video. And hit that subscribe button. You know, for many years I've been doing videos on WFAN, and in particular, at the Baseball Head 2. And I've mentioned that a lot of times the hosts get emails. They get emails from their boss telling them exactly what they need to talk about and get directed about what they need to talk about that day at the radio station. Now, I had talked about this for quite a few years, and I know that their former program director, Spike Eskin, had goofed on this on a post on X a few years ago. And I thought that was very interesting to me, because I kind of knew right then and there that I was right over the target. Well, funny I should mention this over the target stuff. So, some things are starting to come out about what goes on behind the scenes at WFAN. And this is from Awful Announcing. As you know, Brandon Tierney has started his own YouTube channel, and we're tracking that channel. He's got about, I didn't check in the last few minutes, but he had about 9.15 thousand subscribers. So he's getting close to 10,000 within a week, which is very strong, which is no surprise considering he has a big following on X and on the radio. And he did a quality program with Sal Licata, a.k.a. Spaz. As you know, they were the Coconut Head in the Spaz show. But he's been sort of putting out some interesting things from that show. And I guess this was said on one of his streams, talking about his time at the fan. It's a headline from Awful Announcing. Brandon Tierney, quote, struggled with Spike Eskin's 10 to 15 second mandate at WFAN. I did not fundamentally agree with this. Now, what is he talking about here? Now, like I said, I had talked about this a few years ago and how I thought that the people on top were telling the talent on the air what to say. Brandon Tierney opened up about one of the challenges he faced during his time at the fan, and it involved former program director Spike Eskin's management style. Speaking on his new YouTube channel, Tierney Unleashed, the former WFAN midday host said Eskin, I would mention about Eskin, he's in Philadelphia, he's got his own monkey crap program down there, wanted shows to hit audiences with a strong statement and debate within the first 10 to 15 seconds of going on air. Tierney said he understood the reasoning behind it, but fundamentally disagreed with the approach and struggled to make it work. So he would direct the talent on how to do their program. Isn't that what I said? I think one of the mistakes, and I was guilty of a little bit, I talked about this, we had to work through it, Tierney said. There were times we were getting on the air, not that we ever said anything we didn't believe. Neither one of us would ever do that. There's no chance that it was ever happening. But there were early on, especially when Spike, who I've got massive love for because he brought me to WFAN, Spike did. But one of Spike's things is just like a managerial style. Imagine a coach playing a certain style of basketball, or imagine utilizing the bullpen a certain way. This was Spike's style, all right? Now, again, I had said years ago that WFAN told them what to say and what to do on their programs. So basically, they were directing where the show went. I always said that anyway. Tierney explained that Eskin wanted audience to know immediately what the show was hitting, what the strong statement was, and what the debate would be. Okay. A lot of times the audience will tell you that. Quote, Spike wanted within the first 10 to 15, and he's so good at this business, but I did not fundamentally agree with this. It was very foreign to me, and I struggled with it, with myself. And I think also a show early on, Sal and I, where within the first 10 to 15 seconds, he wants the audience to know, here's what we're hitting. Here's like the strong statement. Here's the debate, and let's go. Tierney acknowledged the logic behind Eskin's philosophy. If you don't grab listeners immediately, they'll tune out. And unlike Mike Francesa and the Chris Russo era, when WFAN was the only game in town, modern radio hosts are competing with other stations' podcasts, first take and endless other You ever listen to Mike and the Mad Dog? Really? I talked about this a few times. When the 2005 baseball season began, the Mets lost the first game on a walk-off. And since then, Russo came on the air and said the Mets season was over. And when callers called them out, they said, oh, we're just joking. They weren't joking. They wanted to get people to watch the show. They wanted to get people upset. So this is just a trope. This is a typical trope of WFAN. Quote, I understood fundamentally for sure what Spike's mission was. I think where it hurts us a little bit is that as a new show with two very strong personalities, alpha personalities on the air, we weren't, I don't know about that. We weren't able to present ourselves in a very human way. And I think of the strengths of our show when we got going, and certainly one of my individual strengths is that I am relatable. I do come across hopeful as likable and somebody you want to hang out with. Well, those are all the opposites of me. No, I'm actually nice. I'm not relatable, but I'm a nice guy. Certainly somebody you want to support. I don't know about that either. But if you're not given that window to do it, maybe you get off a little bit off on the wrong foot. Tierney also referenced the Carl Banks situation as an example of how that approach sometimes backfired. In November 2023, Banks had a heated on-air argument with Tierney and Licata over their criticism of Giants linebacker Kayvon Thibodeau. That was with Sal. Because Sal hung up on him. You know. The exchange got so contentious that the host hung up on Banks. No, it was Spaz who hung up on him, who subsequently canceled his weekly paid segment on the show. And it wasn't until right before the season started in the NFL that he came back on the air and was on the Uneven Evan and his husband Tiki Barber show. Eskin discussed the Banks incident on the Awful Announcing podcast in December 2023. Announced that WFN probably wasn't good enough at putting Banks in the right spot to deliver insightful information without devolving into an argument. I think he would tell you that, and he said it himself actually, that he doesn't want to debate back and forth with them, Eskin said at the time. That wasn't what he wanted to do, and I think if we could go back and say, where's our aim? That wasn't our aim either, which is why we're disappointed that it went there. They don't care. They got themselves attention. What's he talking about? Eskin left WFN and returned to Philadelphia's 94 WIP as an afternoon co-host. He had been WFN's program director since 2021, making significant lineup changes during his tenure, including replacing Craig Carton in the afternoon drive when Carton initially left for Fox Sports 1. Tierney and Licata's show ended in December when Carton returned to WFN for his third stint at the station. Current afternoon host Uneven Evan Roberts and his husband Tiki Barber moved to middays, leaving Tierney and Licata without a time slot. The final show together aired on December 12th, with Tierney doing a solo week before signing off for good on December 19th. The Coconut Head has since launched Tierney Unleashed on YouTube and is exploring opportunities for his next chapter in media. He's made it clear he holds no grudges against WFAN, even if he thinks the station made a mistake letting him and the Spaz go. So, I don't know if they made a mistake, but the issue here really with those two is the fact that bringing back Carton. Really, that's the thing, and a lot of people are upset about it because Carton is a criminal, and he quit the first time, he quit the second time, and and now he's back. And these guys who did a good job, they weren't together that long. They had good ratings, I guess. People were talking about the show, and I felt bad for Sal Licata because of the fact that. He had, he was a fill-in guy. He did the weekends. He did the overnight. He did whatever he had to do to get where he had to get. And then he got there, and within 2 years, gone. That's not right. To where now he doesn't even have a job at the fan. But like I've said many times, you're better off going on your own because then you can do whatever you want. You can be your own boss. The way the media is, you can make money on the side. Like myself, or if you're in the media, you can... make a lot of money. Tierney's program on YouTube is going to do really well because he has the recognition. People feel sorry for him. Really, they feel sorry for him. Because he did 2 programs that did really well with him and Tiki Barber there for a while. And, to sort of pull the rug underneath from both of them, I thought initially when I heard about this in the summertime that Carton was going to come back, I talked about how I thought that Sal was in trouble, but I think maybe because Evan Roberts didn't want to work again with Carton and took less to go back in the morning, I think they kind of decided just let Tierney go. His contract is up. We'll put Evan. They were never going to fire Evan. There's two people that they will never, ever, ever fire at that radio station. Evan Roberts and Boomer Esiason. Boomer will retire from that show in the morning, and they'll let Evan do whatever he wants. When Boomer retires, they'll put him in the morning with whoever's there, Or when Carton is gone from WFN, they'll put him with McMonagle, aka the secretary. So you feel bad for them, but they're better off on their own. Licata and Tierney are better off on their own. But you let me know what you think about this video. And of course, this is another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha. To the funny fun.